Hi, I'm Lin.
And I'm Leo. Welcome back to Yoga with Lin and Leo.
Yes, and it's day 3 of our preparations for Halasana. Now, these preparations are not just about doing Halasana, but it's about your regular practice and the poses which will help you to come into your general inversions.
Absolutely. And you need to be on top of your regular practice if you want to do some of the poses that are perhaps a little more challenging. So, the equipment we've got here today is our platform, same thing that we used in the previous 2 days, 4 foam pads. We put a mat around it to make it a little easier for us to move, and a 5th foam pad for the launch pad, but you're also going to need a belt, preferably a long belt, yoga belt.
Okay, so we're going to need to move that platform a little bit.
We are, aren't we?
Yeah, just on. We're coming for our first pose, which is Prasarita Padottanasana. So this is when we take our legs nice and the feet further apart. And Leo's going to place the belt. And the reason why we're working in this way is so that we can lift the whole of the lower abdominal region. And this is very important when you come for your Halasana. So this will just keep you in check to be sure that you're working so strongly on your inner thighs and continuing the action all the way through your body. So really be sharp on those outer foot bones, roll your shoulders back and down and lift up. Now what's very key here is that the thighs push back strongly, but there's a resistance on the outer hip bones. So these outer hip bones, where the ball and socket goes into the pelvis, needs to move in very deeply. So don't worry if you can't feel that at this stage, but just try to focus on that area and move it in so everything goes up, keeping the sternum, chest lifted. Now when you hinge into this action, you've got to keep the chest really nice and open. So extend forward. And then take your hands down to the floor. Now, if it's a little bit difficult to reach the floor and maintain this straightness in your spine, then you will need to put your hands on a couple of foam pads or a couple of yoga bricks. Now, I want to see that you snap that belt in half with your feet so that your inner thighs are lifting very strongly. This is very important. Lift your abdomen and breathe. So you can take the pose a little bit deeper, a little bit further. Those of you who are used to practicing in this way, walk your hands back. And then see that you press your palms very strongly and keep the lift of the legs even more so. So you're following the action from the very front thigh all the way through and towards your chest. Let the head just release any amount wherever you are. See that there's a broadness and openness from this action in your lower spine. And then walking the hands forward and slowly coming up. Okay, so we're coming for our next pose. So bring the legs together and stand in Tadasana just for a moment so that you can just recover for a second, taking the feet together. Taking the weight back into your heels, pulling up the kneecaps and thighs, rolling your shoulders back and down, keeping that lift through the center of the body. Breathe through your nasal passage, soft inhalation and exhalation. Now keeping this extension through the body, remembering the weight in the legs, the thighs and the lift out of the pelvis when we come for Adho, Mukha, Svanasana. So we're coming for Adho, Mukha, Svanasana. Leo's going to be kneeling down to start with and then placing the hands down onto the floor. So press very strongly the palms into the floor and be sure those wrists are pushing down like posts. You're going to make sure that you intensify the action from weighting the skeletal body strongly. So these wrists have got to work strongly. Tuck your toes under and lift up into your dog pose. Now, again, be sure that all 4 areas where you're touching the floor, the palms, and also any part of the foot that is to the floor, you've got to intensify that action. So create that grounded action with the feet. Now sometimes you will find, well, maybe for quite a long time, that the heels are not going down. So you've got to get more lift in your thighs for your heels to release down. So it's not just the hinging of the foot, although sometimes we can be stiff in the feet. We've got to see that we get that extension through the legs so we can lengthen the sole of the foot. Okay, we're going to bend the legs to come out of the pose and reach the buttocks back to our heels. Okay, good. So now we come for, yeah, I did see that.
Sorry, piece of paper on the floor.
Okay, I know. Okay, so we're going to come for Dandasana, so sit with your legs in front of you. Now again, those of you who've got stiff thighs, hamstrings, it doesn't stop you practicing yoga, it just means to say that we have to gradually extend them. So when you're in this pose, you may find that you drop back in your lower spine. You can see this position. Now, if that is you, if that's your spine, means to say that you're not creating the health factor in your seated position. So you have to sit onto a foam pad and extend the legs. Reach through the center of the body and ground down with the thighs. Extend into your heels as if you are touching a wall. Now we're coming from Marichyasana 1, just a twisted action. So Leo is coming off her support because she prefers to sit to the floor, but still adjusting the buttocks, the thigh flesh. Now bending your left leg. Okay. Now just be sure that you're using this area, or when you fold your leg, as you can see with Leo, you press down into your foot. So you lift up through the center of the body. So it's really important that the foot now is in a Tadasana action. So you're not just in this position doing nothing, you've got to be very active. So use the foot to press down and lift up. Now reaching your left arm up and reaching it to the inner thigh, and then extend the chest up, taking the right hand behind you. Now, because we're not catching at this moment in time, we are just getting that twist in action. Now, if you are catching, or you're able to catch, then you have to be sure that you free the shoulder, so you come forward even more so, and then you rotate the shoulder once you're clear of the thigh itself. So you can see with Leo, she's coming forward, and then she's getting this movement. So we're still coming in the twisted action, so it's not going to be the forward bend. So see if you can catch, and then lift up and twist again. So it's quite challenging, this twist, when you start to clench, hold the palms. You can always use a belt to try to intensify the action. Hold on to the belt if the palms are not reaching yet, and then release it. The most important stage is the first stage that we showed, because this will be moving your spine, and this is what you need when you roll into your Halasana action. So bending your right leg, and then pressing down with your foot, lifting up, lift through the sternum chest, and then reach up with your right arm, and again hook the arm, take your left arm behind you, take it down onto the floor, the support if you've got one behind you. Now again, you get that turning action. Now if we're going for the hold, then you've got to see that you work this shoulder free so that you can get the arm round. It's no good trying to get this action when you're here, try and turn. It's just not going to happen. You're just going to feel very frustrated by the whole thing. So extend forward and get that action. And then reaching the arm back. And now lifting up and turning. Getting that turning action. Very good. Okay, and then releasing, straighten the legs. So don't worry if you're not coming to the catching stage of that pose, because you can still maintain and remain in the first stage of the action. Or if you want to have a go at it, you can always use a belt behind your back. Sitting in Dandasana, lifting up. Now we've got a really nice pose coming now, which is Ardha Navasana. This really tests this abdominal strength now. So this is when we take our arms around the back of the head here, and you've got to keep the legs really grounded and strong. Now it's almost like you have to coil the abdomen and walk along the anterior spine. So as you do that, come into the action, and then lift, 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 lift. Very, very strong action on the abdomen. Take a breath or two and then releasing down. So again, this is sort of strength that you're going to need in your body when you're coming for your inversions. And now we come to the Halasana action. So we bring the platform onto the support, and then we have to see where this comes in. Now we're going to bring a slightly different aspect into this now. So just getting your platform ready, placing the launch pad, and then just resting back onto the platform. Adjust the shoulders, be sure that the shoulders are not hanging off the platform. Lengthen the neck muscles, and then preparing. So you have to prepare this action, just how you did Ardha Navasana. Think about how the front body works in this pose. Now a lot of you will just be able to use your natural flow and strength, normal, regular strength, to take your legs over to the floor. But this time we have to think about what's happening in the front body and creating that strength from your Ardha Navasana. So see that you move the abdomen to the spine, and as you take the legs in, you lead with the legs, but the abdomen moves away from your thighs in this position, and then taking the legs down. Yeah, so you just gradually weight the legs down slowly. So when you go quite quickly, you don't consider what's happening in the centre of the body. So now, hold on to your back with your fingers, and taking the legs just a little bit wider, yeah, taking it. That's it. And now with that action, pressing to the toe pads very strongly, and now lift through the centre of the body, push the heels away from you. Now keep all of that action as you bring the thighs back together. So resist slowly as you bring the thighs back together. Lift the front of the thigh, lift the inner thigh, lift the back of the thigh. All of this needs to be working and understood. So hopefully this will give you another insight to what is required to progress your inversions. Okay, and now slowly coming down. So if you want to stay in Halasana for a little bit longer, then do so. So just little by little. That's it. And just taking the support underneath your bottom to underneath your head. And just rest there. Let the belly rest, let the abdomen completely release. And again, as we said, before you start engaging with lots of different stimuli, then we just sit for a few moments just to finish the session. So when you're ready, roll to the right side. We hope you've enjoyed day 3.
And we look forward to seeing you next time for day 4. Namaste.
Namaste.